not people. But you could. No, I can't. She nodded, looked like she was working up the nerve to say something, and then she said, "Do you know that suicide rates for middle-aged men are way up?" Which was not what I expected. No, I didn't know that. Single, middle-aged white men without a college degree have the highest suicide rate of any group. I didn't know that. I was glad my father, who fit the rest of the description perfectly, was past middle age. 60 may be the new 30, but 70 is definitely not middle-aged. I have a degree from Humber College, so that kept me out of the group too, which might have been the first time the degree ever did me any good. She said, "Married, middle-aged white males without a college degree are number 2. It turns out baby boomers have always had high suicide rates, and now that we, are getting into middle age, it's going up even more." For men? "Women have 3 times higher rates of suicide attempts," she said, kind of matter-of-factly, "but men have a higher success rate." So we're good at something. She ignored my nervous joke and said, "The researchers seem to think men feel there's a stigma attached to a failed suicide. Also, they use guns more and women use pills." It was quiet in Lana's office. Just the air conditioning humming through, not doing much good. It was hot. I said, "You know a lot about this." She said, "I looked it up after Kevin—" She shrugged a little and then said, "Men have all kinds of stigmas. That's part of the problem. Women seek help, men die. That's what one of the articles said." "They don't try to get any help?" "Not much. Not enough. They get isolated, like Kevin. They lose their jobs, they stop going out, stop seeing their friends. They get isolated, and then—" When was the last time you saw him?" "April 9th. He was home when I left for work. It was just like a regular day. When I got home, he wasn't there. That wasn't unusual." She was starting to choke up. "I tried to call, but his phone was turned off. I didn't think he was missing." "How did you find out he was?" 3 days later, the police called. They found his truck up north, past Sudbury." She looked up at me. "They asked me if I knew where he was." She looked back at her hands wrapped around a coffee mug. "They asked why I hadn't reported him missing." I was wondering that too, but I said, 6 weeks ago. That was when this movie had started shooting. We only had a few more days to go. Barb said, "When I looked, I realized he'd packed up his hunting gear and drove up north, past Sudbury." "That's a long drive." "He used to do it every year, him and his friends, spend a week in the woods and come back with the deer. He hadn't done it for years." "I don't know much about hunting," I said, "but April isn't deer season, is it?" She shook her head. "No. He left his truck beside the road, what they called Old Highway 806. The police think he walked into the woods and did it there." I didn't want to say anything, but it did sound like the most likely thing, so I just nodded. "Dense woods, you know." She was looking right at me. "They say his body will probably turn up someday. Some other hunters will find him." "That's possible, isn't it?" "But," she said, "I also read that a lot of middle-aged men just drop out. They just leave everything and start up a new life somewhere else." "Really?" "Look on the internet. It happens all the time." "I believe you, but I don't think I can help you." "Why not?" "Lana said you could. She said you do this all the time." Again, places, not people. "Person," she said. "I only need you to find one." She looked like she really needed it too. I wanted to help her, but I had to be honest. I said, "What I mean is you'd need a hunter, a tracker, someone who could look in the woods. If he did go into the woods." "Why do you say that? You think he didn't?" "Well, wouldn't it be perfect? He takes his hunting stuff, his rifle, he leaves his car by the edge of the woods, and he takes off." "Where does he go?" "That's what I want you to find out." This sounds like it's a little above my pay grade. She looked pissed off then and said, "I called a couple of private investigation companies. They really exist, you know." "I know." "They do background checks for big companies. They work for insurance companies looking for frauds." "I know," I said. "That's what I do in the winter when there's not much filming here." "They charge hundreds and hundreds of dollars a day."